Welcome to For Good Measure, an interview series celebrating diverse composers and other creative artists. I'm Nanette McGuinness, Artistic Executive Director of Ensemble for these times. In this week's episode, we continue our Da Capo Conversations, a mini-series where we'll be giving familiar segments a topical twist. Today we revisit my and Carla Lucero's perspectives on some of their collaborations. Here's what I had to say. So my mom wasn't an artist when I was growing up. And then when my parents divorced, she became a very successful stockbroker and then floor broker. Along the way, she started to develop photography, abstract photography, and then abstract art after I left home. We haven't done a lot of projects together, but we've done a few, and it's been really nice. So my very first CD, Fabulous Femme, which I mentioned, her art is the cover art, and it's a pre-existing piece that we used. For the Film Noir project, we wanted to have some images, and some of the pieces, her imagery really seemed to fit. And David and I talked about it, and so we had her give us some images to use that we projected, and that was really nice. And then more recently, I interviewed her for Meet the Artist. And then when we converted it to a podcast, I had her read her answers for that. And that was really nice. I drove down and we recorded her. It's seldom, but it's fun. And I'm really so proud of what my mom has done. She does amazingly interesting, cutting edge, abstract digital art. And she was there before other people. You know, she was a real pioneer. Here's what Carla Lucero had to say.
I think at first when I hadn't had as much experience with creating operas, I felt like I had to really control all of those aspects, because I knew what I was hearing, but I was kind of afraid to, and I already had the story in my mind. I was afraid to entrust it to somebody. That
Oh,
was me being very young, and not really understanding what the process was, and not also trusting my work in somebody or my idea in somebody else's hands.
right.
Now, I've been so fortunate to work with some really great librettists, either as a co-librettist or them just being the librettist, uh, that I understand like this. It's a relationship that has to develop over time, and it's a relationship of trust.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And knowing that writers work, and knowing if they are best for your project, or not. So I tend to, um if I'm seeking out a librettist, I tend to want to look at their work to see if we understand each other on a more like a, what's in your heart, what are your values, that's where
Mm.
it starts,
Hmm.
because so much of my work is rooted in social justice.
Right.
It has to start there. Then I take a look at the work that they've done before, and then get to know them, um personally. You can usually get a good sense of who somebody is by their writing.
Hmm. Good writing
So
is clear and honest.
yes, exactly. Creating operas is a very lonely, uh, a lonely task, because it takes so long. You're working hard, and um, you're not really working with anybody if you're creating it yourself,
Right.
both as librettist and composer. The only time you come up for air and you're interacting with other people is like during the workshop process.
Right. Right.
So you don't have somebody to bounce ideas off of, or that type of thing. So it's much more fun to have a co-librettist, or have a librettist that you're working with. It's a lot of fun. It could also be a disaster if it's not the person, right? Yeah.
A
So,
marriage ending in divorce, right?
oh gosh, yeah, it's like, oh, what was I thinking? didn't do my research. And that rarely happens. And everybody I've worked with is brilliant, but it's like, does that brilliance jibe with the project
Right.
or with who I am, you know? So
Yeah. And you don't have to answer this, and it's certainly not one of the things that's on the list of questions, but have you been in a situation where the anticipated match was, as you say, disastrous, where you had to extricate yourself?
no.
Good.
So yeah, I stay the course, even if it's a less than ideal situation or partnership,
Right.
because the big picture is what's important. And I can say honestly that I have stayed friends with everybody that I've worked with in that capacity.
Impressive.
But you understand, it's when you figure out that your working styles are not really that compatible, then it creates frustration. But you have to always think, you know what, that's that person's working style.
Hmm.
Or, and does that mean I don't like the person? No, not at all. I mean, I can still adore that person, but would I work with them again? No. Would I invite them to a party? Yes.
That's a very mature way of looking at the whole process, though. Good for you. Thank you for listening to For Good Measures Da Capo Conversations, and a special thank you to our guests for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast by clicking on the subscribe button, and support us by sharing it with your friends, posting about it on social media, and leaving us a rating and a review. To learn more about E4TT, our concert season online and in the Bay Area, or to make a tax-deductible donation, please visit us at www.e4tt.org. This podcast is made possible by grants from the California Arts Council, the San Francisco Arts Commission, Grants for the Arts, and generous donors like you. For Good Measures produced by Nanette McGuinness and Ensemble for These Times and designed by Brennan Stokes, with special thanks to co-producer and audio engineer Stephanie M. Neumann. Remember to keep supporting equity in the arts and tune in next week for Good Measure.